We say what they can't radio.
What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Young, Gifted, and Black. I have some amazing guests tonight. They took a long trip from California, so I really appreciate the love. We have Melody.
Hello.
And we have my friend Monica.
Hey.
They are the founders of HNTT Productions. I'm so excited to have this conversation. Melody, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Melody Sheree. I am the founder and CEO of HNTT Productions, which stands for Head Not to Tail Productions. And I am also the founder of the Equal Balance Movement that spun off from HNTT for the fight for pay equality for Black women and all women.
Absolutely. That's beautiful.
Yes.
Monica, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Definitely. So my name is Monica, and if you guys weren't aware, we're actually sisters.
Okay.
Sisters,
Y'all
yes.
my sisters too, though.
Definitely, you're
Yes.
my brother. So we went into business together. HNTT Productions, which is a production company. We did a documentary, being a Black woman in corporate America, and then we also, as Melody mentioned, we have the Equal Balance Movement, which speaks on the pay inequality, and we're specifically fighting for Black women because it's such a large gap there, and we'll get into that as we go further in the interview. So I'm just excited to be here.
Yes.
So I don't know, y'all can pick who wants to answer, but what made you start a production company? The name of the production company is HNTT Productions. So this is not normal. You don't just hear about people just starting production companies. So tell me a little bit about what made y'all want to start this, because I love it. It's a beautiful thing. I think that we need to be more represented on all avenues, not just in media or movies, but throughout the entire world, you know?
Definitely.
Tell me a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So how it all started, actually, Melody is also an actress. I am not an actress. I cannot act. And so it really started from, I was actually experiencing discrimination on the job. We're from Silicon Valley, so we've worked in tech for many, many years. I've worked in tech for well over 14 years, and I faced racial discrimination pretty much on every job. And so recently in 2016, I had experienced an incident with a higher up, actually it was the CFO of the company, being racially discriminated against. And while I was going through that, Melody and I had talked, and it first started off as I wanted to do videotape myself every day while I was at work, what I was going through, because it's a lot of lows that you experience because you're on the job, but you still have to do the job, even though you're having a rough time. And so I told her, you know what, there's many more women that's going through this. So we started talking to friends, we started talking to coworkers, we started talking to a bunch of different women, and they had also experienced this. And some of the stories that they told us, it was just mind-blowing. And so I told Melody, you know what we need to do? We need to do a documentary. And that's how the production company stemmed. Melody came up with the brilliant name, Head Not to Tail Productions, because as we all know, Black women are always left behind when it comes to promotions, when it comes to pay, just about everything. And so that's how the production company stemmed. We needed to tell our story, but we also needed to make sure that we were telling stories that belong to all Black women. And so we have more, documentaries coming up, but this was the first one we wanted to start off with.
That's beautiful. I can really relate to something like that, and
Thank you.
I'm super proud of you for putting
Thank you.
your energy into something like that, because that benefits the culture. Would you like to add a little bit about that?
I would,
Melody?
and kind of like Monica said, just to piggyback off her, many years before, because I've dibbled and dabbled in some acting, moved to LA for a little bit, but still never really reached, the success of when you really made it. And there still is a small margin for Black women even in the entertainment industry. And so seeing that, I was like, well, I feel like you got to create your own opportunities. I do come from a corporate background, have an MBA in finance, working 20 plus years, and I felt like I wanted to make my own opportunities. And so starting the production company, I had the name already down. So when my sister came to me and was like, let's just, because I always felt like I wanted to start off with a feature film, but we know there's a lot of cash that needs to go into that. And so we finance ourselves. And she was like, well, let's just start small. Let's do the documentary. And we did. We were able to really get people on board and support it. It's been successful so far. And that's kind of our first project under Head Not to Tail Productions. So we're looking for more content to come.
This is a beautiful story. I'm glad to have y'all on the show, and I'm glad to be a part of this. I some years back created a company as well called Koolforlife, and the goal was
perfect.
to create a company that could help push for shifting the culture of an entire generation and to bring people together, to bring people of color together through unconditional love and kind of work on doing the things that's needed for us to rebuild our communities, for us to rebuild our culture, for us to even rebuild our identity or the perception on how we're perceived in the rest of the world. Because the problem is a lot of people don't hang around people of color. They only see images of us through news, through newspapers, through some type of, social media platform, which is not always accurate. Right. So it's very important that we tell our story, because what happens with us specifically is when we don't tell our story, somebody else tells
creates
it
the
for
narrative.
us, right?
Definitely.
So to hear what you young queens are doing is very beautiful, and that takes me to my first question. Like, do you consider yourself a leader, and what are some of the qualities that made you into a leader? It's obvious that you are leaders, but I want you just to emphasize a little bit to give the viewers or the young people that's watching it, because everybody don't perceive themselves as leaders. Some people are comfortable being followers. Some people, they thought of the idea of leadership, but they might not want to do the work to become a leader. So tell me a little bit about that.
I would say definitely perceive myself as a leader. I think some of the things that make me a leader are the obstacles that I have faced, and
Absolutely.
I didn't back down from it. Specifically, like you said, things on the job when I wasn't being treated fairly, or I seen opportunities that I was being passed over, and I knew that I was qualified. I knew that I did everything that was needed of me to have that, and I seen other woman get the opportunity, questioning that and really pushing the envelope. A lot of people are afraid to really speak up because they feel like this is my bread and butter. I'm just going to keep my head down and keep doing it, and I challenge my supervisors. I challenge the executives to ask them, if I win, I got my MBA, I have this, I have that, tell me why am I not getting the opportunities? I really wanted to stop the whole angry black woman narrative and tell me why am I not getting it when I'm here being professional, doing everything and having all the qualifications. Absolutely. So making people accountable. So that's being a leader and setting the way and letting for the girls behind us know that if you speak up for yourself, you got to voice your opinion and you got to stand for you. No one else is going to do it.
This is like some like this could have been on like Black Girls Rock, yo.
Definitely.
BET gotta show us some love. Like Beverly, you gotta show us some love. I got the Black Girl magic right here.
But I want to kind of build on, I think at heart, every woman is a natural born leader. It's just the point if you want to take the risk. That's right. Because it's very risky to step out there and put your face out there and say, this is what I've experienced, it's not right, and I want to do something about it. So I think if people just kind of tune in with that inner spirit,
absolutely,
all women can be a leader.
It's very risky to be a leader and be a person of color.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Shout out to my bro Nipsey Hussle.
Okay, it's like the crucifixion for sure.
The Malcolm X's, the Martin Luther Kings, the Marcus Garveys, all the people that have pushed the culture forward.
Definitely.
Honestly speaking, I don't really live through fear, but what I do understand, being a person of color, you are taking that risk when you decide to be a leader at the highest level.
Right.
I'm not talking about, because social work teach you like micro, meso, macro. So you got small groups, you got individual, small groups, and large groups.
Right.
So that's how we need to kind of attack the problems that we're dealing with on people of color. We need to attack it individually. Right. We need to attack it in small groups, and we need to attack it in large groups. So I just lost my train of thought. That's okay. So tell me a little more about HNTT.
Yeah.
Like, what else do you have going on?
So the other things that we have going on, we definitely are in the works of doing a feature film. We can't talk too much about it right now because it's still in the works. But as far as the documentary, we had 2 screenings in Oakland, California at Holy Names University. Turned out very well. So now we are actually working on distribution. So distribution means that the whole world can see this, and that's Absolutely. What we want. That's what we want to happen. So we're going to continue telling our stories. We're going to continue making sure that we're doing things for the girls behind us, because that's what it's really all about, right? Absolutely. We're grown, we're here, we've made it, we've survived, but now we're talking about the girls that are 21, 22, going for their MBAs, and they don't know what they're going to experience when they get into the door, and we're here to provide that knowledge to help them navigate the workplace, because you will come up against this, but if you have the knowledge and you have the support, you can say, well, I know what to do in this case.
Okay. So
I was going to say boom.
We could say boom. I remember what I was about to say, before coming here, I watched this show called The Good Fight, right? And
Okay.
it's like these lawyers and corporations. And one of the characters on there was this black woman that was former like I think attorney general or something like
Okay.
that, and then she
Okay.
got hired for this law firm. And one of the cases was her son has ADHD, and I had ADHD and ADD.
And
her
look at you. And
yes,
look who
I
you
made
are.
it. I made it through.
Come on now.
And her son, it was only like one black teacher in the school. It was this male, and he was also gay, but he was like the only black teacher in this like private sector, and it was a good school.
Okay.
So they fired him, right? And the mother was just coming on a routine visit to see her son, and he was walking out. She's like, "What's going on?" And he was like, "I just gotta let go." And come to find out, like they were like playing with his students' test scores. So like all the other teachers within the school were fixing their test scores so that the kids could meet the standards of the state test. But he was honest with it. So his percentage was 73%.
Okay.
Their percentage was like 96%, right?
Okay.
But in the show, even though it was fiction, the idea of him keeping his job was dependent upon a former attorney general that works at one of the best law firms in the United States of America. Now, that's micro.
Yes.
Now, the meso and macro perspective in that is that there are a lot of different parents that deal with that problem, and that's structural racism.
Definitely.
Now, like, how do we attack that? Because it was funny how that episode kind of aligned with what you young queens are doing. So, talk to me about what you think. What comes to mind?
Well, it definitely starts in the elementary schools. You could see the first class, middle class, lower class. If you have not that many black teachers in the school that's teaching, why would they care about our students?
That's right.
Absolutely.
So it starts there, and then it builds up. So what can we do about that? We need to start to teach our own.
That's right.
We have to teach our own. We have to do projects like this. We have to even stoop down a level lower and do things that elementary school or middle school kids can relate to. Obviously, middle schoolers not going to relate to corporate America. They haven't worked. But if we do projects that are, say books or videos that can they can say, hey, that looks like me. I'm a teenager. I'm not 30 or 40 years old, So it really starts in elementary schools.
I would just say, too,
agree.
representation is key. And I think having more black teachers and parents have to get involved. A lot of times we want to send our kids to school and we want to put it off on the teacher. But like you said, that was one black teacher who probably really cared about the students. But if the remaining other non-black teachers are really looking out for their own, ours will get left behind. So black parents, we got to attend PTAs, we got to be involved, we got to show up, and we got to stand up for our children and really voice what it is that we feel our kids need, areas that they're struggling, and what we think that school districts and what resources that we need to make our kids successful just like the others.
Definitely.
I think that one of the main words that comes to mind is accountability for people of color.
For sure.
Whether it be religions, whether it be the government, they kind of like to take away our accountability and put it in the hands of them.
Yeah.
Whether it be Jesus saving you, whether it be the government or the state saving you, they never really bring the accountability back to us.
Yes.
Just like how Caucasians or white America, they own their accountability. Like the oppressive system that creates bills like stand your ground or the incarceration bills, all these different things that lead to people of color's demise, they do a great job at organizing. But for us, we tend to stray away from it. Like we think that we can do it individually.
Yeah.
So how do you think we could work on fixing that?
Well, for number one, we have to unite. See, we can't do this on our own. Even Melody and I, we can't fight for women's equal pay for black women on our own. We need all women for black women. As a matter of fact, we're having a summit on August 22nd. And August 22nd is very significant to us because that's Black Women's Equal Pay Day. Right. Now, we have an Equal Women's Pay Day in April, or March, excuse me, but that's more geared towards white women. Right. What about the black women? Because white women don't get paid less. We get paid lesser than the white woman, right? So I kind of lost my train of thought, but when I talk about this event, this is something that's going to help circle it around to say that this is empowering. Let's talk about it. Let's unite. Let's figure out what we can do to tackle this issue because you can't do it alone.
No.
Just like Nipsey Hussle, you can't do it by yourself.
No, I think that what we fail to realize is that, like, I say that this current world is like, it reminds me of the Matrix, like the movie.
Red
And in the
pill.
Matrix, a lot of people were put to sleep in like a slumber. And those same people that were put to sleep could potentially, be an agent. So that's how you have people of color that kill each other, that despise each other, that hate each other, because the new illiterate of the 21st century are no longer people that can't read or write. It's people that can't learn and unlearn. And unfortunately, our people have been taught a lot of bad habits and a lot of bad qualities that we have to unlearn and disperse of. And we have to add new qualities now. And I think that that's the work that needs to be done, whether you need to do, go get some therapy, whether you need to, get back connected to nature, change around your circle, change around your mindset. It all goes back to accountability. People of color need to take more accountability over their realities, because we are the ones that's manifesting our realities. And unfortunately, a lot of that leads to negativity when we're seeing a bunch of negative things, whether it be on TV or whether it be on the news. Like this, our youth gets to see that, and then they end up recreating that.
Definitely.
They mimic.
And to build on top of what you're saying, it goes back to corporate America. When there's a Black woman in a high level position, we tend to be like feeders. It's only room for one of us, right? But that's not true. It's room for all of us. The money is there. The opportunity is there.
Here's the trick.
But it's the pitting against.
There is only room for only a few of us in this system. So you have to understand, in the inception of this country, the wealth of this country came off the backs of us.
Definitely.
So sometimes we be like, the president and the state and all of these different bills, it's not for us. It's never really going to be for us until we create our own game. See, we could live in this structure, but in order for us to thrive, we have to stop playing that game of fitting in.
Yes.
And I want to be accepted. And we have to realize that we are the culture, that we push this thing forward, that we were the first and that we would be the last.
Definitely.
I think that's just an understanding that a lot of us have lost, because they have strategically killed off our leaders.
Definitely.
They have strategically put drugs and guns within our communities. They have strategically gave us bad schools. See, this didn't happen just organically, like the communities just started getting bad through decades. No, strategically they already knew, like, we have to slow these people down. We know they're godlike. We know they're divine. So we're gonna do anything possible. You understand what I'm saying?
And that's the thing. If we stand together, that's why they keep us pitting against each other, because if we stand together, look how powerful we can be.
Right.
And the thing, I think, with our culture is we have to kind of stop the jealousy and the hate, because when we see someone, say, for instance, like you see the Nipsey Hussle, for instance, doing something, it's like someone comes along and hates on that person because they feel like, oh, he don't need to do that, or that should be me. And that's not how it is. We have to support one another so we can pull each other up. And all the time, we all can't do it at the same time, but sometimes our state of mind is we all want to do it. You see somebody you hate on, no. Even with us, I'll say that when we told people, okay, we're fighting for pay equality, a lot of people are like, why? There's already other women out there that's doing it. Well, those women, most of the time, are white women. We know that Black women have been left out from way behind of a lot of the movements, the feminist movements, so it doesn't always come in our favor. And so they don't know our issues. The issue isn't just it's just not gender pay. We deal with racism. We deal with a lot of other things on the job that white women don't deal with. So how could they tell our story?
Absolutely.
How could they tell our story? We have to tell our own story, but not be afraid to do it.
Right.
Just to veer off, because we talking about feminism, of the feminist movement, and I'm all for it, but in my understanding of the feminist movement, like going back into like the early 1900s, bringing it all the way back, I think that movement was originally created for Caucasian people, like, right? 100%. And I think that they had the constraints of being able to leave out their households and put on and be able to live out their dreams and etc. And I think that people, women of color, connecting themselves to the feminist movement through structural racism, it kind of disconnected them from connecting with men of color.
Sure.
And for people of color, I think that our strength and our power really comes with the unity of the yin and the yang. I can't speak for any other entity, but I know for us, and I think that the powers that be that creates these oppressive systems, that a long time ago in that civil rights movement, they realized that we didn't have much. We just had each other.
Right.
But with each other, we was like, yo, we ain't riding this bus no more.
Right.
Yeah, we were forced.
With each other, we was like, yo, we not jacking that. Like, we're not with that. And we're gonna show you that you will suffer, your economy will suffer if we disconnect ourselves out.
Right. And so you have to be careful with the feminist movement, right? Because you don't want to be so feminist that you don't need men. Because let's be clear, we do need our men. I know for me, I need my black man.
Right.
Okay.
I
So I don't want to do a disservice by totally connecting to that, because you're right. Back in the early 1900s, that was strictly for white women, for white women to go out and work, for white women to go out and be able to vote. That did not include us.
No.
That didn't include us till way after the fact. Fast forward to present day 2019, it doesn't include us to way after the fact. They don't look at you until after the fact. So you got to be careful when you go into the feminist movement, because we want to include our men. We need each other. That's how it was back in the civil rights days.
And even with that question, because we recently had this conversation about the things that we are fighting for, does that mean that we're saying we're so independent, we want to be,
Right.
make our own money, that we don't need men? And like you said, no, we support our black men. We need our kings and queens
Definitely.
to definitely be in unison with one another. We need to support, because we're not trying to tear down the family unit. I think that's already been done enough in the black culture that we're definitely trying to support. But let's be clear, a lot of black women have went and received higher education. A lot of them are breadwinners, but that doesn't mean to take away the manhood of our black man.
Right.
We still need you. We have to support one another, because if the black woman is doing well economically, it supports her family. It helps everyone in the long run. It's not to say you're better, I don't need you, I want to be on my own.
No, I just think that we have to get back to creating our structures. And unfortunately, the way, I guess, the system has panned out to be, women of color are the ones that's going out there getting the degrees. I'm working on my master's right now. I'm about to graduate
Beautiful.
in May.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yes, congratulations.
And a lot of my classes is 2 males and it's like 30 women. Like
Of
males,
course.
they tend not to have the patience or the discipline to want to do those things.
This is true.
But then that creates a very unequal balance in corporate America, because now you have a bunch of women of color with these crazy, beautiful positions, and you have a bunch of men of color that can't keep up because they're not qualified. So how do we kind of even the scales? How do we bring it back? Because I think, again, the problem is that we need to stop playing the game of oppression.
Right.
We need to stop playing the game of fitting. And this is the stuff that Martin Luther was talking about. Like, I just led my people into a burning building.
Right.
The problem is that the more we strayed away for trying to fit into white cultures, the more that we lost our culture.
Right.
And now you have generations upon generations of people that don't have culture. They don't understand what it means to be a strong, melanated person of color.
Sure.
They don't understand what it means to have that power to change your community. And that's why Nipsey Hussle was so, divine, or he was such an outlier in his means, in his way. He was such an outlier of the being that he was, because it was like, yo, he's doing the stuff that everybody's supposed to be doing. Let's
Right.
keep it
That's
real.
right.
I
agree.
can't quote this correctly, but I know he said it's either something if I'm amazing or you niggas is scary. Like the goal is that why isn't everybody doing this?
what I'm doing.
Why
Right. I
isn't
agree.
everybody taking their millions of dollars and taking their
Definitely.
notoriety and putting it back into their community?
I agree.
Where did that happen? Where it's such an outlier situation.
Right. But sometimes it takes a long time for us all to catch up and be on one accord. Okay. So with Nipsey Hussle, what he was doing, he was before his time. We all should be doing that.
Yes.
But can we? Do we have the tenacity? Do we have the guts? Do we have that risk-taking spirit to really get out there and buy the block back? To say, this is where I used to hang out at. They used to call the police on me, but you know what? I'm going to purchase this building. Do we really have that in us? Or do we go and we get our money and then we move to West Hollywood? Or do we move to Beverly Hills? So we just got to catch up and be on one accord. That's what we need to do. It's important. It's vital. It's vital to our success.
I agree.
And, I mean, knowledge is power. I just feel like we definitely have to support each other in the family unit. We can't give up on each other. I think sometimes black women, we give up on our black men because they deal with their own struggles outside of what we deal with, right? And a lot of times, like as women, we come and we speak to one another and we tell each other and we support one another. But man, I don't know if your conversation is similar to what we would talk about to kind of get that support system to go back in the world and really fight for what it is we're trying to do. And so I think men have to be okay with being vulnerable with their queens and sharing what they're going through so that we can support you. Tell us what we need to do so that we can work together.
I think that people of color through through the 500 years of slavery and the trauma of all the things that we experience even now, when you see police brutality or you see young people of color killing each other, like that leaves trauma to you. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Like when the first videos of Nipsey Hussle was being shown, like that shit was traumatic for me.
It is.
Yeah,
Like
it
I
is.
feel like now I need to go to therapy because in my mind it just reminds you that like Nipsey Hussle was an amazing entity, amazing rapper, so he was notarized. We got to see it, but a lot of young people of color get killed on a regular basis.
for sure. Yeah.
And we
Every
don't
day.
put that much attention into our young kings and queens. We have just been desensitized to be like, oh man,
It's
like
nothing.
that's the streets, man. But no, how is it that our people are being killed off or being locked up like this? And how can we rectify this?
Right.
So another question that I have right now is, how do we end racism in corporate America?
Oh, we got a long way to go. But number one is going to be starting with our documentary because we're talking about it, we're being bold about it, and change starts from the top, not the bottom. Okay, so we need to get to those executives. We need to have those executive seats. We need to have those conversations. We need to be in the rooms because even when you're in middle management, I was in middle management, you're not privy to a lot of those meetings. You're not making any decision. You're not a decision maker. See, that's the thing. We have to start being decision makers. Once you're in the room and you can put in your 2 cents, then that's how you can kind of make change. But if you're not there, how are you going to change anything?
Absolutely.
Well, I think you kind of touched on it. You said earlier, it's making people accountable. If nobody's saying nothing, the leaders are going to keep doing what they're doing. But when you call them out, and for those tokens, black women, black men that are in powerful positions, like we mentioned in the documentary, a lot of times I see, and I don't know if you can attest to this as well, that a lot of heads of diversity and inclusion usually are black women or a man of color. And here's the thing, it's like, well, what power do you have? Because if you're heading up a department as such, but you only have one or none black women or black men in powerful positions that can really make a change, what good are you doing?
Right.
You know, it's just like, it's looking good, but nothing's happening.
I agree. I think that there needs to be more diversity in all aspects in whether it be the NBA, whether it be the NFL, whether it be corporate America. I think diversity has to be driven or has to be pushed. I think that because it's funny, like you say, let's use an example for the NBA. 75% maybe of the NBA is people of color. But when you look at how many people of color own the teams, it's like 1%. Like Michael Jordan is one of the few men of color that owns a basketball team. And he happens to be one of the best basketball players that ever played a game, right? So how is it that, and I think one of the major issues is that we have been taught in this country to be consumers.
Yes.
Because people of color we spend trillions of dollars a year on TVs, on computers, on cars. But if we redirected those funds, we could take that same money and rebuild our communities. We could take that same money and make sure that women have equal pay. We could take that same money and make sure that there's more people of color at the highest level in these corporate positions. Because we are the ones now that's creating corporate positions that's benefiting people of color. But we have to the shift has to happen.
But to your point about diversity, see, diversity doesn't come along. Diversity comes with inclusion. You can hire me all day at the tech companies, but if you're not including me in those meetings, if you're not including me on those decision-making conversations, what good does it do? Now I'm just a simple mark-off to say I've got a minority woman. So when we say diversity, we've got to say inclusion and really include me. Don't just hire me and have me out there and I don't know what's the haps on the craps with the company because you're just so busy about having a black girl that you don't want to include me. So those go hand in hand. We got to make sure that we stick those two together in any scenario, whether it's corporate, NFL, NBA, whatever.
Well, you know, I'm gonna have to just touch on this, and we never really told this story, but when we were trying to recruit people for our documentary, it was a young black woman that was head of, was it diversity or HR at a very
really
known
popular
tech company in Silicon Valley, and we're having a conversation with her and asking her, well, why are there none too few people at your company? And she said, well, here's the thing, I have not hired anyone of color in certain positions because I don't think we're ready. And I said, I was shocked.
She said that she has to work with the minds and the hearts of the white men to get them prepared to accept us. And then she went on to ramble about, because, you know, our people, we don't know about stocks. I've had stock ever since I was 22 years old. What do you mean? And she was just this ignorance that she was just going on and on. We were on the call like, she can't be on the documentary.
So that goes back to the brainwashing. So you got this token sitting in the position that looks like this company is diverse and being inclusive, but really not. So
like I said,
that happens often.
I agree 100% with you young queens are saying. And I think that one of the main problems is that we are playing a game now was built for us to lose. And in this game, we will never win. We will never win. It will always be the we need the minority, like to be the minority perspective, or you that token black person that's at this Fortune 500 company.
Devil's advocate, how can we win?
How we can win is by putting ourselves in a position where we create our own Fortune 500 companies.
Okay. Are we doing that now, Koolforlife?
We are
HNTT?
doing that now, yes. We are creating, and one day we have to put out, my plans on when I succeed and when my company grows is to make sure that everybody has an option to buy in, and that, we have 2 or 3 months vacations, and I'm not going to charge you based on hourly work, but it's going to be based upon what you can do, what your skill set provides. Right. And we're going to work together as a team and as a unit. And then as we grow that, we will spread the equality. We will spread more black leaders. There will be more black directors. But I think that more people have to take the leap to create their business, because for example, for me, like I just quit my job.
Okay.
Like I was working for the boy.
That's a hard jump.
And,
congrats.
And I had so much on my plate this year. Graduate school, working, running a business, starting a family. Everything was overwhelming. And I said, you know what? Like, what can help me grow? What's hindering me the most? What's stopping me? Because the fear of not being able to support yourself. Yeah. The fear of you not being able to do what you want to do. Right. Because it takes money to make money. But at the same time, you have to have faith.
That's right.
And you have to take that leap.
There you go.
See, that's what
we have this conversation every day because so many times we're challenged with those issues. Like, we're used to having that
steady paycheck.
We've made money, and so to take that and invest it back in a company that all the times people don't believe in, because like I said, it's very few of us, especially women, black women, that's heading production companies, and so you look like, okay, well, what are you going to create? Why should I invest in you? There are no venture capitalists that's running after us to say, here, I'm going to give you $1 million to invest in your grand ideas right now, because we're not known like that yet. And so getting on platforms like this to support us is what's going to get us out there and let those.
But I just want to say one thing is Bernie. But see, that's what's going to take us to the next level. So a lot of the big companies, let's just say the big tech companies, they all started with the leap of faith, but they had the backers. They can go to people with big money and say, I need $500,000. I got a great idea. See, with minorities, we're not able to do that because it's so iffy. Like, how do I know your idea is going to work?
I don't like that word minorities. Okay. Because we're not minorities. We're the majority. We're the majority.
Okay, true. Good point.
Like I said, it goes back into, like, it's gonna be hard in the beginning because, like you said, we don't have those resources, and that goes into like other, like they give people from different countries grants and things of that nature to start businesses. It goes back to you being in the country. Right. If the country's wealth was predicated on your demise and your exploitation, you explain to me now, 500 years later, how they're going to give you the setup for you to successfully change the world. Right. That's never going to happen. What we need to do, there's millions and billions of us.
Yes.
If we pull out the token black people in the corporations, if we pull out the token black people in the NBA, if we start to say that if we don't exist in these entities, that there's no flavor in it. Right. What's the world without people of color? It's a blank canvas. So if you took people of color out of Instagram, if you took people of color out of Facebook, if you took people of color out of shopping on a daily basis, let's be real, this whole entire country will shut down.
It's vanilla.
The only reason why this country doesn't shut down is because as a collective unit, we don't understand our power because we have been taught to think that we have to put our energy into fitting in. Right. If we realize that we are the culture, that we are the thing, that we are the energy that keeps this thing moving, then we would realize how to, because like one of my friends said to me, he said, Facebook just blocked Minister Farrakhan, and they stopping certain people from putting out, certain messages. Of course they are. They're a part of the system. Not knocking Facebook, not knocking any of these entities, but they weren't created for us. What happens is when we take control over those entities, and we start changing,
Right.
they like, oh, when it was all good, when you could just go on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube and see a person of color getting shot
That's
dead.
what I'm saying.
It was all good when you could just go on YouTube or
Right.
Instagram and see a person of color getting locked
Yeah.
up, or see all the stereotypes and prejudices that came with that. It was
Right.
all good.
But to your point, that's not gonna stop Farrakhan. I just want to be clear.
Oh,
Farrakhan
absolutely.
did not start on Facebook. Let's be clear. So I just want to put that out there, that
Absolutely.
it won't stop. The message has been going around. I've been knowing about that since I was a kid.
Absolutely.
So that will not stop me.
Yes.
I just want to say that.
Absolutely.
And I want to say something else that was burning inside of me, that we have layers that we have to break through. Once we break through entrepreneurial, right? Once you break through that first layer, you're happy, you got your company name, you got your license, your LLC or whatever it is, you put a little money into something, you feel good. And then you come up against another brick, another layer. You bust through that layer. So we just got to keep breaking through the layers. That's all we have to do, because it is rough. But once you get to those layers and just keep going and keep going, trust me, there is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Trust
the pot
me.
of gold at the end of the rainbow for people of color is that if we don't connect within our unity, we'll never have salvation. There's the
Yes,
pot
that's
of the
just true.
rainbow is that our salvation, our that this heaven that we look for, this consciousness shift that we look for, is all predicated on the connection of people of color.
Right.
If we do not connect, if we do not come together and unify mentally, physically, and spiritually, things will continue to get worse. This is a system that's never going to stop. The only way we can stop the system is collectively, by being a collective. If as a collective unit, we're just as powerful as the sun.
Definitely.
Do you know
Burn
any
through.
entities that can stand in front of the sun and just be okay?
No.
You can't even look at the sun from this radius without your eyes
getting
burning out.
burned.
So you
Definitely.
tell me, since the sun is our power
power-
source. We are
yes,
melanated
power.
people.
Of course.
So as
we can do
melanated
that.
people, if we come together collectively, that means that we're unstoppable. That means that as the sun, you couldn't even stand within our radius but too long for getting your eyes burned out.
Definitely.
That's the idea.
But
now.
that go back to teaching in your own home. Don't send your kids out to school to get encouraged, or you got to start that in your own home. And then you send them out so they can stand strong and have a strong foundation. A lot of times we do not do that. We get irritated. We got our day-to-day struggles and we just want to send our kids off. But all that's training and knowledge starts within the home.
I think that our parents have to understand that if you think that this system, whether it be the educational system, whether it be the government or the state, if you allow them to educate your child, then you are creating a slave.
Yes.
Because this
Oh,
system,
yes.
it's like goes back to how we started this. If you don't control the narrative of your reality, then this country and this world will control it for you. So for people of color, I am a person of color I'm educated. I have the grid. My grandparents, I got educated at home before I got to school.
Definitely.
School added on to my education.
Right,
So that
yes.
allowed me to always be able to look at the system and have a subjective and an objective view.
Right.
Because the system never educated, they never gave me. See, the problem with a lot of our people, like the miseducation of the Negro talks about, is that they allowed the system to educate them at the highest level. So when you get educated by the system at the highest level, you become a pawn, like in the Matrix.
Yes.
Remember in the Matrix what they
Right,
said? They
'cause
said
that's
if
all
you're
you
not
know.
jacked in, if you're not woke,
Right.
you could potentially be an agent.
Right.
So you look at our people killing each other, you look at our people
It's
raping each
great
other, you look
example.
at our
It's
people
not again.
hurting each other, they're potential agents.
Right. But see, it goes back to the mental. It goes back to that whole Willie Lynch theory. You have to teach at home because they're only going to tell your kids so much. And let's be clear, even to this day, with you getting your master's and higher education, you still pick and choose that knowledge and how you want to use it. Everything out the textbook, you are not going to use in your daily life. You are not going to insert into your business because your business plan is much different than a business that's run by all white males. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Funny thing about that is that I never went into school to get educated so that I could get a job. I went into school to get the education so that I could control my mindset, so that when the money came, that I would be able to
Beautiful.
rebuild my community
Beautiful.
on all levels, and so that also that I wouldn't be the token black folk that had to get the white man or
Right.
Right.
the black queen with the
Okay.
good credit
Okay.
to be the face of my business
Right.
But we
because
are
I
here to
didn't do
support.
the structural work.
That's right.
You understand? Because that's what we do. We like,
That's-
yo,
that's
I ain't gonna do the work. I ain't gonna get my credit together.
Right.
I ain't gonna put this paperwork in.
Right.
I'm gonna just need
And
you,
not-
queen, to come
right. And
because
do.
you're doing your thing. No,
No.
I'm gonna be the strong, educated
And I
brother
like
with
that.
the plan from the hood,
Right.
and I'm gonna show you that we have an idea that we're gonna execute.
And
Well,
you're
it's
ready
funny-
to lead. Black
Well,
men ready to lead.
I just want to piggyback because one thing that I wanted to say is let's be clear too. Money is power.
Definitely.
And a lot of times, well, we know in the black communities, that's what we lack. You know, there's a lot of poverty that goes on. We don't have the resources and the power. And I'll say, like for me, I have my MBA in finance. What I do, I reach back to the younger generations and try to teach them about financial literacy. And recently I said, because I have a 5-year-old daughter, I said that I wanted to actually start teaching financial literacy in pre-K. In kindergarten, teach them how to work,
Yes.
because a lot of times we are raised to learn how to rob Peter to pay Paul. Let's be clear. A lot of our families live paycheck to paycheck. So
And they're
we
headed
don't
by
know
women.
what to do with money, or when we get it, then we go out and we are being just the consumer. We don't know how to run our own businesses and do what we need to do so we can have power and be in control
You
of
know
our...
what's more powerful than money? Knowing thyself.
Oh, that too, for
when
sure.
when you know who you are, see money. I have a quote of one of my shirts that says, "Don't chase the bag, be the bag."
Okay.
And the message from my young people is that we tend to think that everything that we need is outside of us. But see, the divinity and the God in us is inside of us. The God that
Inside
we're
of
looking
us.
for,
I agree.
that energy that we're looking for is inside of us. And when you take that inner walk and you take that inner journey, you start to realize that everything that you needed was in you. That book, The Alchemist, talks about that.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And I
yes,
think
yes,
our
yes,
people,
I started
we are like the alchemists in so many different ways because
Definitely.
we're searching outside for our
Yes,
salvation.
yes,
And it comes within inside.
It comes from, but in order to find that inner spirit that talks to you and tells you that you have it all, you cannot conform. See, that's the other thing that we do. We conform. We get into the workplaces, we get into these schools, and we start to conform, thinking that we need to be like her or like him. We cannot do that.
You ever played Monopoly?
A long time ago.
Unfortunately, it's not by choice that our people conform. When you play Monopoly, as much as you have your own mindset, you are restricted to the rules of the game. You could be the smartest person in the world, but it's just, you got to go past goal to get your $200. You have to go past goal before you could buy houses, before you could put the little houses and get the property and all that other stuff, right? It's the same way in the real world. See, our people are in that game structure
Yeah, we
that
have
was
to play
never
the game.
created for them to win in the first place.
for sure.
So it's really hard to overcome that system. You understand what I'm saying?
It
Because
is.
it's kind of predicated on our demise in the first place. So in order for us to win that game, we have to realize that we got to knock that board over and we have to create our own game.
You got to get
Where
strategic.
it's more equality, where it's more opportunities, it's more people of color able to win and succeed.
Right. And when I say conform to a certain extent, yes, you have to be in the game, play the game in order to win. So I get that part. But the other issue is when I say conform, I'm talking specifically about corporate. See, because I've conformed, I'm guilty of it. Because I need to make my money and I need to do what I need to do. So sometimes you get to that moment where you break and you cannot take it anymore. So when I say conform, you don't speak up on the little things. Somebody makes a discriminatory comment and you don't speak up right then. That's what I mean by conform. So when we hear those things and when we see those red flags, we need to speak up right away. Hey, I'm not comfortable with that. Don't do that. Don't say that.
Another reason why I'm probably it's better for me to be an entrepreneur right now is because I don't conform. You know,
that's
like
beautiful.
I have at certain points in my life I probably was bullied. I probably didn't speak up for myself. And then I got to a stage where I had no other choice to because I realized that the power of me speaking up for myself gave other people power.
That's
There you
right.
go.
Because as I
Amen.
consciously, speak up for
Preach.
myself and I consciously do that, other people is going to do the
Do it
same.
as well.
Definitely.
So
Right.
when I
Leading by
come
example.
across, whether it be corporate America, whether it be the private sector, whether it be even in non-for-profits.
Yes.
When
Yes,
I come
definitely.
across people that don't understand what respect and the value of our people mean,
right.
I am going to address you. I am going to speak my mind. And you
Definitely.
can look at me like, yo, why is this guy?
Speak
Because
up.
again, the conformity that was a rule created in that system for us to conform.
Definitely.
Because they knew that, okay, in the 60s, you had people like what happened? They not letting us ride the bus no more, so we walking to work. So they was willing to get the splendors. They was willing to take the 5 to 6 hour walk to work.
Right.
They was willing to take the sacrifice
Yeah,
to
to do
get
what
the
they need to
benefit.
do.
See, they structured the new people in this new generation. They put money. They made money the
carrot.
the focal
The
point.
dangling
So
carrot.
you need money to pay your rent. You
Definitely.
need money to take your kid to school. You need money to pay the car if it fall
Right.
apart. So now when the oppressor hits you right in your face, like, yo,
course.
look, yo,
Here's
you're
money,
inferior.
right.
You can't do nothing about it. You gotta go back to like, I gotta like
need
take
this.
care of my family.
Yeah,
But listen, imagine if we did the opposite of that. Like, you know what? I'm not gonna take this. I'm out. I watched the Crest commercial the
Right.
other day, and she gave the cake. It was all the corporate people. It was like, I quit. Because at the end of the day, if we don't value our worth,
That's what I was gonna say.
see, the police will forever continue to kill us.
For sure.
The government
They'll
will
put a value
continue
on
to.
you,
They will
like-
forever to continue to exploit us.
Definitely.
This will never get better until we start to acknowledge our own value.
Yeah. And the beautiful
that's
thing
what it
about
goes back
being
to.
here on tonight is that we're all entrepreneurs and we all took that leap of faith because it is rough. Being an entrepreneur is not easy, right? It's not easy at all. But we decided to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I don't need anyone dangling a carrot in front of my face. I don't need to conform anymore because I'm going to make the rules.
You know what that means? The epitome of that is that the marathon shall continue.
For sure.
That heavy is the crown,
Yep.
and that we have a job to do. We have
yes.
we have a vision.
job.
There's
It's go
young
time.
people
It's
out
go
here
time,
that's
for sure.
watching us. So let me ask you a question. If you could give any advice right now for our young people that's deciding whether they want to be leaders, they want to be entrepreneurs, they want to be politicians, they want to be scientists, like what piece of motivation could you give a young person right now that's looking in the mirror like, yo, you know what? I want to be something. Like, I want to shake this thing up. I want to leave my mark. Like, what would you say to them?
I would say don't let them place a value on you. Know your worth and always be willing to take the stand to reach the highest limits. And like you said, dangling a carrot in front of you. If you're offering me a certain amount of money, no matter what job or sector you're working in, always know that there's more money on the table and figure that out. Do your research, know your worth, and stand up for yourself. You just have to stand up for yourself, period, point blank. If you're afraid to do that, if you're walking in fear, you're going to have an issue. You're always going to be left behind. You just have to break those chains of fear and stand up and do what's right. And people will see that. People will see that and they'll follow behind you, and there will be risks that will come along with that. Right. And it is a heavy thing on your back, but you just got to do it. That's the only way that we can encourage our next generation is to continue to stand up, take a stand, speak up for yourself, and do what you know is right.
I would say to trust yourself and put the man above first. When you trust yourself and you've been led and guided, I'm sorry?
Or woman.
Or, yeah, there you go. Okay, there we go. Whoever it is that you find that your salvation, that you praise and that you know gives you your inner peace, I would say look to that and trust yourself. That's the best thing you can do, because I would tell you confidence will go much further than anything else. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't trust yourself, why should I?
I agree 100%. If I had to add to that, I would say that question everything. I would say that
That's a good one.
we are in a lot of our people that live in this country, we are in a system, or we're in a place where we have to continue to fight through adversity. We have to continue to fight for our freedoms. And you have to know your worth, that you are a powerful being, whether you're a male or you're a female, that you are a powerful being. And together, if we would come together, we are unstoppable.
I agree.
Unstoppable.
I agree.
There will always be
100%.
adversities for us, because I think this
powerful.
oppressive system understands what happens when people of color have the opportunities and the resources, and we are in the right mindset.
Yes.
Also, I would say that control your mind. If you learn how to
Yes.
control your mindset
State of
or your
mind.
mind,
State
you will
of
learn how
mind.
to control your reality.
That's right.
And that means is that you have
So
to
true.
be very careful of the negativity that comes into your life.
The company you keep.
I keep going back to Nipsey Hussle, but sometimes, I wanted to understand, like, why did this have to happen to him?
Right.
And I think that people of color have forgot that we are beings of divine light that are able to manifest our own realities.
Yes.
And how we do that is by what we speak of, what we think of, and what we do on a regular basis. And
This
if
is
you
true.
listen to a lot of Nipsey raps, he kind of talked about death a lot.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just listened to
Like,
it.
he
Word
kind
was
of
right.
talked about his
Prolific.
demise and how his his just movement would, or how his demise would lead to like
Change.
a change. You know what I'm saying? No different from the Malcolm or the Martin. Like
That's right.
Martin last speech where he was like, "Yo, like he like I might not make it there with you." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
but
but
I'm
I
gonna
seen
set a
the,
foundation
but I
for
seen the
you.
horizons. Like he
Yeah.
knew, like he was basically like, "Yo, I ain't gonna be there with y'all," but like,
Manifested, yeah.
like do y'all thing. It's
Definitely.
coming.
Definitely.
Nipsey understood, like, yo, from what I experienced on my 33 years of living, and I'm 33.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like what I've
Yeah, you
experienced on my 33 years of
Definitely.
living, like I see the mountaintops. Like I see
Yeah, same
that
here.
things is gonna be better for
Yeah,
us,
oh, yeah.
but I might not be a part. But I think that goes into that. In my opinion, we could create, we control our own realities 50-50. It's a 50-50 split with our
Right.
creator and with us because we have free will.
That's
Right, because it's
So
choices.
if you're not careful of the things that you speak of, if you hang around negative people,
That's
if you
right.
watch negative movies,
Yes.
if you talk negatively,
Oh, yeah.
you have to live out that reality.
Of
Yes.
course.
So that means that you have to be very careful as a person of color, as a divine being, of what you say, what you do,
hear.
what
Definitely.
you read,
Your
who you
thoughts.
hang around.
Oh, yeah.
You have to control your thoughts to the highest level because you could potentially create a reality that you don't want to live in.
Definitely.
I
See, I feel like
100%
we need to
agree.
do a spiritual
I
podcast.
100% agree.
You know,
I
like we
100%
got to talk about just being in tune with your mind, body, and spirit because it's heavily important, right? Because people are going to say more negative things to you than positive. Everybody's not rooting for you. When we started this film company, people are like, "Oh, okay. Well, people have been going through that for years. Why are you guys talking about it? Because you didn't."
I know that's right.
Going back to that though, it goes back to accountability is this.
Yeah.
Is if you take true accountability over your life, that means at the highest level, who you even allow to come into your circumference is a doing of you. So, for example, I just met you.
Definitely.
It was me being on my journey, me having a high frequency, me on that level of whatever shows that my
Oh,
friends
yeah.
saw. They was like, you know what?
Brought it
Yo,
together.
Dre hit me up, was like, yo, I got two people that I think would be
yeah.
good on your show.
Thank
And
you.
it was because of my frequency, because if the frequency was lower,
Yeah.
it could have been different
Somebody.
guests.
Right.
That's
It could have been,
That's
he
right.
could have not even threw the alley. He
Right.
could have just been like, yo, bring your own guests.
Right.
But because of the content of the show, because of my spirit, I was able to manifest you young ladies and young
Yes.
queens.
Thank you. The
So that
vibrations
means
were there.
that your vibrations got to be high.
Yeah.
It gotta be high
Elevate.
at
High.
all
High.
time because the higher your vibrations are,
Yes,
the
the
higher
more.
frequency people that you will
And
bring
you
into
are
your
like-minded
circumference. Your
individuals.
circumference. Talk to me.
So we
Definitely,
talk about this all the time. I'm like, you sound like you at home with me and my sister
Like,
because we
yes,
get deep. We
yes.
talk about this. It's bigger than just saying I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to run a production company. Like you said, it's your spirit got to align with like-minded people.
Yes.
You have to stay positive because people are always going to come and throw negative darts at you. And sometimes we do get down like, dang, we just spent this money. It didn't happen this way. And then we have to pull ourselves. We have to come on one accord because there's a lot of times. Sometimes we even get off balance
Right.
and we like, wait a minute, this don't feel right, and we gotta bring ourselves back too. And that's why I
Yes.
said your environment, what you're speaking, what you're saying. Okay, maybe that wasn't the big hit for us, but it's coming, and I believe it, and I'm
Right.
gonna put it out there.
And to your point, we've been in rooms before with people, and we would walk out the room, and I'm like, Melody, it sounds good, but it don't feel right. It just the vibration, the
I know
energy.
that's right. And I
Even
can-
though they're smiling, they're laughing. This is great, you guys. Blah, blah, blah. It just don't feel right. And I always pray because I know that the people that I bring around me and that are for me and really mean well and no malice intended, I want those people in my life. And if not, I want them to run away. I want to know. I want it to be like a missing in action. We were talking about this meeting and they fell off the map good because obviously they weren't for the right thing. So vibrations, energy, spirituality, that's all
Being in
important for
tune.
me, especially when you're talking about being in business, right? Because you can have all the riches and be unhappy. And that's what I don't want. Period, point blank. Forget about changing the world.
Right.
I got to make sure that I'm right when I'm speaking to
That's
people.
right.
And I got to make sure my spirit is aligned and I'm really being truthful to whoever I praise. That's important.
And I think what you said, even going back to being a leader, like the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X and even the Nipsey Hussle, you got to be willing to pretty much lay your life on the line for what it is that you're trying to stand for. And we even have that conversation. I tell her, like, if I don't live to see what we're doing through, you continue it. Tell my daughter, you finish the race.
Stand for something.
I
fall
think
for
about
anything.
that a lot, and honestly speaking, is I done seen so many of my predecessors be killed and be exploited and be like buried, and like it reminds me of like some type of Captain America movie, like Hydra. Like
That's not
once you
funny.
cut one head off, 3 heads appear.
Wow.
Like the struggle don't stop, right?
No.
So if they kill me, right, like who gonna keep it going? Like who's to say what Nipsey Hussle would have continued to do for the culture?
Right.
Who's to say what a lot of our young people that have lost their life so early would have been able to do for the culture? So honestly speaking, I am willing to sacrifice my life for my people because I believe and I love my people so unconditionally.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm gonna use the will and my ancestors. Ashe. I'm
Yes.
gonna use, my spirits and my angels to watch over me because I need to be here.
Yes.
Because a lot of our people have died and these systems and these things still exist. So you know what? We need to speak life. We
Right.
need to speak that we are protected. We need
Definitely.
to speak that we are good everywhere, that every place on this planet
now.
is our
Yes.
home, and that we are protected by a higher being. And
Definitely.
that we're not gonna just sacrifice our lives because we're gonna be the change that's needed. See, we came here in this time because we knew that we needed to.
Right.
By choice.
And one thing I wanted to mention, because it's been on my mind, because we talk about this too, is Black Wall Street. We all have that entrepreneurial spirit in us way from slavery days. How do you think soul food came about? Because we were left with very limited things to cook. So we are creative by nature. We are leaders by nature.
Right.
Black Wall Street had over 30 grocery stores, doctors' offices. So it's
we
there.
ran our own community.
Really, if you think about it, the blueprint for entrepreneurialism for African Americans, it's already been laid out. We just got to follow the script. We cannot get derailed by negativity, and we cannot look to other races to pull us out of what we've been in for so long. We have to do it ourselves.
I agree 100%. You want to finish it off? We got a couple about 30 seconds.
Like you said, I was just saying that we got to trust ourselves. We got to trust one another, and don't be afraid. Take the risk. We can do this. We've done this before, and so we can't get derailed, like you said before, by thinking that they're the powers that be and they're the say all be all. That we can control the narrative and we can create our own.
The ending word of the night is intention. See, the people in Black Wall Street, the civil rights movement, the Nipsey Hussles, all the people that have pushed the culture forward, it was their intention to do so. So if you want to see the world change, if you want to see more black businesses, if you want to see more people of color at the highest level as leaders, whether it be in the NBA, whether it be in production companies, then you have to have the intention to support that, and you have to have the intention to create that.
Okay.
You can do anything that you put your mind to as long as you believe so. I created this show because I wanted to show people of color at their highest level. This is why I call it Young, Gifted, and Black, because there's many negative perceptions of
Yes,
us.
I love
So
it.
I said
Thank
that I'm
you.
going to show us at the highest level doing the best things and doing whatever it is that we're doing to live out our dreams. So I want to thank you.
Thank you.
I
Thank you
appreciate
for
you.
this.
I want to say that I wish you much success on your journey.
Same here.
And we will
Likewise.
continue to work together.
Yes.
And I want to thank all my viewers for coming out tonight. Remember, you could do anything that you put your mind to as long as you believe so. I wish you love, happiness, and joy. Y'all stay blessed, and we talk soon.